Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the 14th LIA CAR Colloquium 2021 parallel session. My name is Tamba as the moderator or facilitator for this parallel session. Let me introduce you to our presenters today. We have Miss Wening Susanti A and Miss Eni Humaida. Now, without further ado, let's start with our first presenter. Our first parallel presenter today is Miss Wening Susanti A. She is a teacher from Lembaga Bahasa LIA Cengkareng, and she's going to present the result of her class action research with title Using Zoom Annotation Tools to improve English for teens or ET students engagement during video meetings. Ms. Wening Susanti, the screen is yours.
Thank you, Pak Tamba. So I can share my screen here, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Wait a second. Okay. Can you see my screen now, everyone?
Yes.
All right. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you for coming. Well, today I'm going to present my CAR paper as introduced by Pak Tamba. The title is Using Zoom's Annotation Tools to Improve English for Teens or ET Students Engagement During Video Meetings. All right. Well, here are a few things that I'm going to present to you from the background up to the conclusion. Let's start with the background first. Well, my research actually comes from two situations that I encountered, especially at the beginning of online classes that I conducted in March 2020. So the first one is about the minimum students participation that maybe some of you also experienced during your online classes where, you know, most of the students, they turn off the cam and also the microphone. They didn't answer the questions. They didn't participate in the discussion. That happened quite a lot in the first term of my online classes. The second one is that in fact, LIA has used Zooms for the general online classes. And inside this Zoom, there is a feature called Annotate. And I felt that this feature can be used to design some activities that result in students' participation. So they can use the Annotate, and it means that they are going to participate. So yeah, as we know, students' engagement is very important in learning activities, especially here we are talking about online classes. It is important because it can motivate the students, you know, to learn, to improve their sense of belonging, and also at the end, it can also increase their performance, which results in higher grades. But yeah. And as we also experience, although it is important, but in fact, we still have problem with it. The low student engagement is still a big problem. It's still a prominent problem in online classes. So that is why by doing this research, I would like to solve or answer some of my research question to minimize, you know, to maximize the students' participation, especially during video meetings. And I also would like to find out what activities that I can actually design using these annotation tools. And I also wanted to know like what activities that they actually enjoy. And at the end, the final question that I would like to answer is that whether these Zoom's annotation tools can improve my students' engagement. All right. So let's go with the theoretical framework. Well, if you have listened to Pak Ardian's session, he has mentioned a lot about students' engagement. And here I would like to bring the two theories that I believe that it represents what students' engagement is. The two from G.E. Burfee and Gary Natriolo. It's underline the word participation as the definition of students' engagement. Meanwhile, Skinner, Kinderman, and Ferrer, they underline the word involvement of the students as engagement. So whenever the students participate or involve in the learning activities, it means that they are engaged. Here are the three types of engagement, the behavioral, emotional, and cognitive, as mentioned before. My research itself will focus only on the two types of students' engagement, the behavioral and emotional. So behavioral includes the physically participation when someone, when the students nod their head or even shake their head when they ask question. So it means that they have this behavioral engagement. Meanwhile, for the emotional is when they show their emotion, like when they are happy with the class, you can see it, or how they feel comfortable with the classmates and also with the teachers. It also showed that they are emotionally engaged. So these two goals are the ones that I want to improve in my class, the behavioral and emotional. Again, let me tell you about this importance of students' engagement. This one, students' engagement, is actually the reason why the students have a high desire to learn. They also can get learning satisfaction. And at the end, I think this one is a bonus. They can also get higher grades when they are engaged. Yeah. Well, the next one is about how to measure students' engagement. These methods I used in my classroom action research. I used direct observation. In this method, I observe the students as we have the video meetings through Zooms. And this one goes along with the second method, which is teacher's note. So when I notice something interesting or something important about related to the students' participation during the class, then I will take note of it. As an additional method, actually, I also recorded some of our meetings, especially when I incorporated annotation tools in our activities. So when I need to look back, then I can play the recording. And the last one, this one is from the point of view from the students. I distributed a questionnaire, so to know their experience, their feeling about the activities that we have done in our classroom. So for the first and the second method, I use it for cycle 1 to 3. And for the students' report, then I put it at the end of cycle 3. Yeah, this one, the annotation tools. Bapak Ibu, have you used these annotation tools in your class?
Yes, I did.
Yes.
Yeah. All right.
A
lot, yeah. I like that because these annotation tools, you don't have to install any application, right? It's right in the Zoom, so we can just use it. Now, of course, we have to enable annotation for the students because if not, then they will not be able to participate. Well, here, my focus is on the three feature here. Let me use the stamp. Oh, I'm using annotation right now. So I'm using the text and also draw and song for my activities. These are the ones that we used the most. All right. Okay. This is for the students that participated in my research are English 14 students. So LIA has this program for junior high students, but in my classes there are 2 students who are actually in the 10th grade of senior high school, but because it is like the final stage of English 14's class, so they decided to continue to the last level of ET. So they are between 14 and 16 years old, 4 boys and 4 girls. I conducted the research for 3 cycles from July 2020 to March 2021. Yeah, for the data analysis, well, I followed the Classroom Action Research method. We have the assembling the data when I collected all the data and then coding the data by classify them into three things: types of activity, the number of participants, and the types of participation. And the next one is finding the similarity, then analyze the data, and at the end, I present it in form of narration. Well, here comes the most important part of my presentation today is the result. The first thing, the result of my research is this one. These are the activities that I have designed and conducted during my online classes. These 8 are just the category. It means that each category may have 1 or 2 similar activities, but with different, different materials. For example, here we have completing blank spaces of sentences. Here I use, I recommend the student to use the text feature on their device. Later I will show you the picture. And for number 1, that's for using the text, and number 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6, they will use the draw. So if you have ever used these annotate features, then you can find the circle or rectangular shape that they can use to match the exercise. Oh, something like arrow as well, it also works in matching exercise. This one is simple. And for number 7 and 8, I use the feature of stamp. So they can stamp on the screen using star or love or checklist or cross, things like that. All right, let me show you the screenshot of my classes, online classes. Yeah, this is the example of filling out the blank spaces. I recommended my students to type it, and as you can see here, it's quite colorful, not really colorful though, but yeah, so I give them time, I just show this digital version of LIA's exercise book, and then I give them some time, like 5 to 10 minutes to complete this, and then I will give comments or correcting something when they make mistake with the spelling, for example, or I agree with their opinion, then I will say it. And sometimes the students will also ask me to explain something during these activities. So yeah, that's the interaction that happened there. This is filling the blank spaces as well. Yeah, this one is when we talk about sentence connectors. So I provided a PowerPoint slides, and then I asked them to complete this. As you note here, there is a random text from my students, things like that. So I just realized that they have fun doing this. Sometimes they wrote random things on the screen, not related to the material, but I think they have fun with it. This one is arranging the sentences. You can use this for, as pre-writing activities, you can use it for it. And if you see there, they use drawing instead of text. So this happens when the students, they don't have the access for the text. So if they use the mobile phone, then they cannot type the text like if we do with the laptop. So instead, they will use drawing. So it come out ugly though, but it is still readable. All right. This is the example of guessing the word game. I provide the slides, and then I will ask my students. I will read the the description of each of the word, and then they will quickly circle or underline the word that they think match my description. This one is really fun because they will do it quickly. As you note there are some name here, Jocelyn, Karen, and so on. So we will know who did what because their name will appear on the screen. Yeah. So I will know who participated and who didn't. That's it. This one is categorizing. So at that time, I asked my students to categorize the expressions when we talk about asking for opinion, agree, disagree, and asking for the reason. This one, we use STOMP. As you see there are stars, arrow, cross, and also checklist. And if you note here as well, there is one particular student that didn't use STOMP. I don't know again then, but they still participated by using draw right here. See? So it looks a bit different, but it's okay. I know that they participate in the activities. Okay, right. The next one will be, this is the virtual walking gallery. Actually, I did this a lot in my offline classes when they have to move, from one place to another and give some comments or some stars on their friends' work, that I put it online. So I asked them, this one I use whiteboard, and then the students, they type their haikus on the screen. And after that, I let them give some stars for the haiku that they like. This one, well, after this, then we can do some discussion, like why the students like the haiku or they didn't like the certain one and so on. All right. Okay. So those are some activities that I have designed. There are some more, but I cannot put everything here. So this is the number of participation for each cycle. So as you see here, the number of activities goes hand in hand with the number of participation. So the more activities with annotation tools you have, then the number of participation will also increase. But if you see also on the graph, there is a fluctuation on the number of students' participation, when I can tell you that there are two factors that will that affect this. So the first one is the students' capability. So when the activities are related to grammar, then some of them, they are not very good at it. So the number of their participation will be lower. But when it is easier, vocabulary or arranging sentences, then most of them will participate. And the second factors that affect this fluctuation is the simplicity of the activities. For example, if it is using text, then some of them may have problem to type, so they choose not to participate. But when it is just, stamped, then it's much easier. You just click the stamp, then most of the students will do it. Like you can see on activity 12, cycle 3, it reached the highest participation because it's just used the the stamp for virtual walking gallery. Yeah, so that's for the number of participation. And this one is interesting. The one that I found out the most interesting is the students' interaction between the student and the teacher, or student-student interaction.
Yes, Wening, just to inform you, you only have 2 more minutes, ma'am.
Okay, right. So for the interaction here, so the students and teacher, they also communicate by asking the material, confirming the answer, and this one, giving comments. Giving comments here can be related or unrelated to the material. And for the student-student interaction, the one that you note, maybe the most interesting one, is the joking. So it proves that they have, besides the behavioral engagement, there is also emotional engagement between the students. All right. So this is the research finding. As I said before, the more number of activities, the more participation you will get. And then it can also create interaction related or unrelated. And the final finding that answers my ultimate research question is that these annotation tools really can improve the students' engagement in my classes. So for the conclusion that, well, of course, there are a lot of activities that can be designed using annotation tools, and it can foster the interaction among students or between student and the teacher. And also it can lead to a better student engagement. All right. I hope you learned something from my presentation. If you have questions, feel free to ask. Thank you so much, Pak Tamba.
Okay, thank you very much, Kay, for a very interesting and inspirative presentation, Miss Wening. Okay, please give big applause to Miss Wening Susanti. Okay, now allow me to share screen. So now it's time. Okay, for questions and answer, we have more or less around 5 minutes to do that. Ladies and gentlemen, if you have a question for Miss Wening, please unmute yourself and then you can ask her directly. Thank you. Okay, probably with it, we're still trying to digest the information from Ms. Wening. So this is more technical questions, ma'am, that I would like to ask. So during this process, which part do you think, okay, throughout those stages, do you think is the most challenging, and why do you think it's the most challenging, ma'am?
All right. So the most challenging for me is writing the paper, actually.
Oh, okay. Why is that?
Yeah, because I have to. This is my first time of writing classroom action research paper. So there are, we have to find a lot of theories and so on and so on. But I really enjoy the process of doing all of from cycle 1 until the paper finish. But yeah, the part of writing is so challenging.
I see. Okay, thank you very much.
There's a question
yes, please go ahead, ma'am.
from Ibu. How do I say that?
Okay, let me stop sharing so it will be easier for everybody to get with it. Easier to monitor. Okay. Yes.
In the chat box, Pak.
Oh, I see. Okay, one moment. Okay. Oh, yeah. So this is a question from Miss Gim. Did you mention students' name one by one, or just let them answer freely when you ask them to do the annotation?
Yeah. So when I ask them to answer the question using this annotation, I will let them do it freely. So as you can see that there will be some students, they will actively, well, for your information, there are also still 2 students, 1 student in my class that is still inactive. But the rest of them, when I give them the chance to answer the question or to type something on the screen, then they will do it freely without me calling the name. But for these special students, well, of course, I will call their name. That one means.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Wening. Thank you, Ms. Gim. Okay, are there any other questions?
Yes, Mr. Tamba, can I ask a question?
Yes, sir. Go ahead, Pak Tatang.
Okay, Ms. Wening, thank you for your presentation. It's nice. I just wonder about the character or the personality of the students. Do you put this into the consideration in your research? What I'm trying to say is that, to a certain extent, I think the character of student who is kind of extrovert, yeah, or they are expressive and so on. So means that all kind of the activities that you present will be very well responded by them. I guess, yeah, okay. well, the same things that you do in that kind of class probably will be different in the other class, which have a different kind of character or personality of the students. A kind of experience of preparing certain activities a lot because I just want them to respond well and so on and so on. But again, it turns out that
I feel you.
capek gawe teka pakai orang sana bilang ya. All right, then. Okay, maybe that's it. I'm not sure whether I missed that point when you presented or something because I'm at the office, so sometimes something distracting me. Thank you,
Okay.
listening. Wening, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, Pak. Well, talking about the student's personality, actually, that is the reason why I conducted this research, why I incorporate Zoom annotation tools in my activities. I noticed that some of my students, most of my students, they are teenagers, and I really understand that they feel, I don't know, is it they are not confident enough to show their face on the screen. Because at the beginning, only 2 students, turn on their cam. And I think the others, I know that I have met them in person before. So I know that they are kind of shy students. They don't want to, to show their faces. That is why I let them, it's okay. You can turn off your camera, but please use the annotation tools. Because when you use the annotation tools, they don't have to show off their face, right? Yeah, so interestingly, then these students, the ones that I thought they are shy students, they participated in the activities. So I think these annotation tools will help them to participate without showing their face because they don't want to, and I don't want to force them that one, sir. But of course, there are some students who dominated some of the session, those extrovert one that you mentioned. Yeah, we have that kind of students though. That one part.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you very much. Actually, with it, do we still have